Welcome to my booktube.
Hey guys, thank you so much for joining me. Today I'm going to be going over the birthday book tag because it's my birthday tomorrow, but it'll be today when you see this because I'm filming it the day before. Anyway, I haven't done any tag videos yet, and I just recently found out that the birthday book tag exists because Elliot Brooks did it on World Hoppers for her birthday this month, and I decided because it's my birthday too, this is obviously the best time to be doing a birthday book tag. So for the sake of time, because I don't want to be editing too much on my birthday weekend, I'm going to try to keep this pretty concise if I can. I'm not going to be describing what the books are about because I've probably already talked about them on my channel, or they're pretty popular book series already, so I'm just going to be telling you what books fit these questions and why. So anyway, let's jump straight into the questions. So the first question is Birthday Cake. It is a book with a plot that seems cliche, but you adore it anyway. And I also have to use the same answer that Jade did on World Hoppers, which is The Eye of the World by Robert Jordan. It is the first book in the Wheel of Time series, and this book does have a lot of cliches. Apparently it takes inspiration from Lord of the Rings at the beginning, so there is that group of people who are getting together and going off on a quest, but the main cliches that I see in this is the chosen one, who is a shepherd who doesn't really know his powers, but they're great, amazing powers. There's a dark lord, and I'm sure there's others, but that's all I can think of off the top of my head right now. But yeah, this definitely has a lot of cliches in it. I first read this series about 12 or 13 years ago. I was about 17 or 18 when I first read the first 4 books, and I stopped reading them when I went to university, and then I didn't pick any books up after that until about a couple years after I finished school. So yeah, I picked this series up again in 2020, mostly on audio because I wanted a refresher before I continued from where I left off. I haven't really talked about it much on my channel, but I'll probably start doing that now because I really do like the series. My favorite characters are probably Nynaeve or Egwene. I just think they're amazing. So question 2 is party guests, your most anticipated book release for this year. So I'm pretty bad at keeping up with book releases just because I have so many older books or already released books or completed series that I want to catch up on first. But last year I did read All the Stars and Teeth, and so I was waiting for all the Tides of Fate to come out, and this came out last month. I was also waiting for the Gilded ones to come out, which I think came out in February as well. The only book that I can think of that I'm waiting for it to come out is the sequel to Bonecryer's Moon by Catherine Purdy. I don't remember what it's called. It has something about dawn. I really liked this book when I read it last year. I really liked the animal magic, although it's kind of sad. And I also really love bone magic. That's a thing that I've been really into lately. And even the romance. It's kind of insta-lovey, but I didn't hate it. Question 3 is birthday presents, a book that surprised you with how much you loved it. And I am excited to say that book was The Empire of Dreams by Ray Carson. When I first got this book, I got it in a Magical Reads Crate subscription box, and when I started to read the synopsis, I was like, oh, this is gonna be real cheesy because it starts by saying, Red Sparkle Stone spent her entire childhood running. And I was like, this girl's name is Red Sparkle Stone. What? That just sounds so cheesy. I really was not expecting much from the book, but I still gave it a try right away, which I'm very thankful that I did. By reading this book, I got to learn that it stems from a different book series, which is this book series. So the main character from this book is a little girl that the Empress in this book finds, takes her in, frees her from being a slave, and then this book is a split timeline of her as a little girl and then leading up to her meeting the Empress or Queen or whatever her title was in this, I don't remember, and also her at the age of 16, and then her having her own story. And it was really, really good. It was so good, and I loved it so much that I went out and bought this trilogy and read it right away, and I also really enjoyed it, and it was one of my favorite reads of last year. Okay, question 4 is Happy Birthday Song, a book that certainly deserved all the hype it got. And I'm going to hype up Crown of Feathers by Nikki Pal Prato. I just finished this book a couple days ago, I think, and this has everything that I love in a book. I don't know how hyped it is, but all of the reviews I found have been really positive. So I'm hoping that it's a super hyped book because it really deserves it. This book is also everything that I love in a fantasy story. It's got amazing animals, it's got strong women, it has the Mulan trope, which is really fun, it has training sequences, it has people banding together and found family and awesome animal companions and magical creatures. It's just so good. I'm so glad that the readathon that I'm participating in this month has caused me to finally pick this book up because I loved it. I loved it so much. Probably going to be a favorite read of this year. Already probably predicting that. Question number 5 is Happy Music, a book with some very beautiful and memorable quotes. This one is a bit difficult for me to answer because I don't normally think that much about what is quotable when I'm reading the book. There's 2 series that I want to mention here. The first one would be A Song of Ice and Fire by George R. R. Martin. I'm holding the most recently published one, which is The Dance of Dragons, because my first 2 I've already lent out to a friend. But this series, the reason I'm saying it's super quotable is, one, because it's pretty well known and is probably pretty quotable for a lot of other people, but for me specifically, my friend and I, she got me really hooked into the series around when I think the first season of Game of Thrones came out, and she was pressuring me to read the series and my partner was pressuring me to watch the show, so I watched the show with him, and then I got all the audiobooks from her, and then my stepbrother gifted me the book series, and it's just been fantastic and a way to connect with so many people. And so with my friend especially though, her and I would quote it and text each other about it all the time. So that's probably what makes this one of the most quotable series for me. I also named 3 of my cats from this series. So we have Nymeria, who's sleeping over here. I have Egret, or we just call her Iggy. She's definitely a wildling. She for sure lives up to her namesake. And then I also have Balerion as well. I'm really bad with remembering quotes. Some of the ones that stand out looking back is, I mean, Tyrion is probably one of the most quotable, like him talking about how a mind needs a book as much as a sword needs a whetstone in order to keep it sharp, or it's not exactly how it goes because not good with quotes, or Arya talking about how fear cuts deeper than a sword. Also, Tyrion saying in the end, Tywin Lannister did not shit gold. Yeah, some of those things are probably the ones that stand out the most to me right now off the top of my head. But the other one that I want to bring up as an honorable mention so far would be The Stormlight Archive by Brandon Sanderson. I just recently finished The Way of Kings about like less than 2 weeks ago, and the one that stands out to me most, I think it's Life Before Death, Strength Before Weakness, Journey Before Destination, but especially the Journey Before Destination part. I love that. So that's it about quotes that I can think of because I'm not much of a quoter. Number 6 is Getting Older, so it's a book that you read a long time ago but think that you would appreciate now as a more mature reader, and I have to say Lord of the Rings by J.R.R. Tolkien. I read this probably about 15 years ago. I think it was in junior high. I was like 14 or 15. Most of the books that I was reading at the time would have been, I think the 5th or 6th book of Harry Potter was coming out, and Twilight was big at the time. I read the first couple of those. Yeah, that's pretty much what I was reading back then. I tried to give this a try. I loved The Hobbit. The Hobbit was amazing. I liked the first book. I liked The Fellowship of the Ring. But The Two Towers, I just got bored of all the singing and all the descriptions because at that time I just didn't have the patience for it. But I feel like now that's something that I would really appreciate, and especially because I love the Stormlight Archive and I've really been enjoying The Wheel of Time, and they're both got a lot of descriptions and they're pretty lengthy books. I think that I would really appreciate The Lord of the Rings a lot more now than I did when I was a kid, so don't hate me. I know I have some catching up to do. The last question is Sweet Birthday Memories. It is a book that kept you incredibly happy during a sad or demanding period of your life. And I have 2 series that I want to bring up. The first one would be the Throne of Glass series by Sarah J. Maas. This one got me through a really hard time when my depression was at an all-time low and I was going through a lot of bullying at work, which, like, how does that even happen? in a professional workplace as adults. I never went through that crap when I was in elementary school. I didn't go through it in junior high or high school because probably because I was in French immersion and I was with the same kids from kindergarten to grade 12 and we were all left out by the English kids. So we were like a tight-knit group. But anyway, I went through that bullying at work just before I started my channel for like the year before that. It was bad. It was one of the darkest times of my life probably, but this series helped me escape. I flew through these books so fast, and it also reignited my passion for reading. Like, I've always been a reader, especially so growing up, but then during my time in university I just didn't really read too much. But this series really, really fueled that, and is probably what I have to thank for the fact that I even have a booktube channel, because I don't think that if I had come across this series at the time that I did, I probably wouldn't be reading anywhere near as much as I am now, or at least not yet. With the Throne of Glass series, there are some things that I wasn't too fond about, or that just weren't really of my taste at the time, but I love strong female characters. I will never not love that. And I don't care if they're overpowered. I enjoyed it all. But then the other book series that I really want to bring up for this question too is right at the beginning of the pandemic. I went from having my birthday party on March 14th to being like, see you guys at my wedding next weekend, to a couple days later, everything shut down. I was sent home from work to start working from home and had to cancel my wedding, which was really sad. I was devastated at the time. I spent a lot of time crying and reading. And one of the series I felt that really helped pull me through that was the Folk of the Air trilogy. I loved the first two especially. The third one wasn't as good as the first two, I feel, but I loved this. I loved this series so much. But yeah, these are all the books to answer my questions. I hope you liked this book tag video. If your birthday is coming up and you want to do the video, consider yourself tagged. Otherwise, thank you so much for watching. Let me know what you would have answered for the questions down below, your thoughts on any of these books, if you connect to them in the same way as well. I really appreciate you guys. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!